Hello everybody, Aiden here, and welcome to another video on the Around the Slice Entertainment YouTube channel. I have now seen the much anticipated Star Wars spin-off movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters, so I am here today to, of course, give you my initial reaction / review for the movie in terms of positives, negatives for myself, and a final score overall for you guys, so you guys have it in concrete form for the future. But before we get into all that, if you enjoy any of the content here ever at all, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, as we always have fun and interesting content coming out on multiple times weekly basis at this point in time. Let's see here. The Boys just ended. My series finale review and discussion is now up for that. We have one episode left of Euphoria in terms of technically the season 3 finale, and a couple heavy hitter shows in June, if you will. The Bear season 5 and Avatar: The Last Airbender live action series season 2. And then we have a bunch of movies in a row throughout the entire month, spanning from Masters of the Universe, Disclosure Day, Toy Story 5 from Pixar, and Supergirl to expand James Gunn's DCU. And then looking a couple months out as well, in July, we have the two heavy hitter blockbusters in The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and obviously Spider-Man Brand New Day with Tom Holland and the whole gang there. That's going to be really, really fun. So again, just tons of coverage on that front. So going into The Mandalorian and Grogu, I actually have personally a unique experience, perspective, whatever you want to call it with this, because I've never seen the Mandalorian TV show, not a single season, not a single episode, hell, not a single second of it at all. I actually just recently in my life got into Star Wars, like the whole universe, the whole franchise. Like, here, I'll give you a reference point. I'm 22 years old right now, and I just saw it last year for the first time. So yeah, pretty fresh, pretty new in my brain. I have seen all 9 of the mainline movies. I have seen the 2 spin-off movies, and obviously this 3rd spin-off movie, which we'll be talking about today. So that is my kind of experience and perspective with Star Wars media as a whole, the universe and franchise as a whole, and more specifically the Mandalorian TV show. But for positives, this is expected. I'm really glad they translated this movie as spin-off as well. We come to Star Wars, the score, the musical, the instrumental soundtrack is always top-notch. It's always impactful. It's always memorable right away. And that continues with The Mandalorian and Grogu. Once again, Ludwig Göransson knocked it out of the park. All the instrumentals felt modern, felt kind of techno-centric, if that makes sense. It just felt up to date, and it increased the stakes as we went along through the entire movie. Next, I like how small scale and self-contained this sounds. I don't think Star Wars is nearly as messy of a universe. Actually, I know it's not nearly as messy of a universe as the Marvel and the MCU have gotten nowadays with Phase 5 and 6 and blah, blah, yada, yada, all that stuff. But there's a lot of characters. There's the original trilogy. There's the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy. Seeing this journey with Mandalorian and Grogu, seeing this entire world really from a different viewpoint with those two was really cool and refreshing to see. Refreshing is the word I want to key in on here, because it's a nice change of pace. It's a nice change up, if you will, to use a baseball term. It's a nice change up, if you will, to what we are used to. Again, not because the Star Wars universe and world as a whole is messy to compare it to the MCU nowadays, because those two clashing, but it's a nice change of pace. It's not as go all the time, which can be good and bad. I'll get to that later on. So I said my personal experience. I haven't seen a single second episode, hell, season of The Mandalorian before, bottom line. That's perfectly okay, though. I was kind of worried, will it affect some things, hearing some rumblings here and there, excuse me. No, in my opinion, you can go into this completely blind, just like I did, and be perfectly fine. Not seeing The Mandalorian will not hinder your enjoyment or viewing of this movie, of this film, in the least. There was never a character moment where I felt dumb, where I was like, oh man, who the hell is that guy? Or, oh man, why are they here? Or, oh man, I don't get this. I'm very confused. This is going too fast. No, if you see The Mandalorian, great. You obviously know the background. If you don't see The Mandalorian, like myself, it doesn't hinder anything. You can go in completely blind like I did and be completely content. Like, again, you won't be confused at any point. Next, I want to talk about the Hutt twins and then the introduction of the nephew, Rada the Hutt, which, fun fact, voiced by Jeremy Allen White, who is Carmy in The Bear, but just fun random fact. But anyway, because I'm watching The Bear right now, bring that up. So the introduction of Rada and then the twins, the aunt and uncle. The Hutts were by far the most interesting characters in this entire movie as a whole, in my opinion. They were the quote unquote stars of the show, if you will. I venture to say I even found them more interesting and captivating on screen than the main characters of Mandalorian, the main characters of Baby Yoda / Grogu himself. I'll touch on it, the role of Grogu, when unfortunately I get to my negatives, little tease foreshadowing there. But yeah, the Hutts, I wish we got more of them. But I like seeing their own little like dialogue with each other, communication, whether it's English, whether it's their own language of Huttonese, it's called. Really, really just captivating stuff. And then obviously Rada the Hutt being the son of Jabba the Hutt. It's interesting to see the kind of core dynamic of him battling the past of his father. Like, I'm nothing like my father. He says that multiple times. I think that's a really interesting dynamic and kind of enigmatic premise to go there. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Going into this, I wasn't expecting much action. I was expecting it just overall to be pretty mellow. Maybe it's a fun little like escape from reality adventures, kind of a schlocky fun, if you will, film between Grogu and the Mandalorian. Maybe a few villains, give or take here and there, give or take. But no, like, damn, I was surprised. A lot more combat than I expected. One scene in particular really got my attention, really got me fired up, in like probably my favorite scene of the whole movie, if we're being honest, generally overall speaking terms with. It was I'm trying to remember. It was the Hutt twins specifically versus the Mandalorian, Mando versus the Hutt twins. The combat was really well done, and just I can't get over how much combat there was. I thought this would be a fun, schlocky adventure type thing only, but no, there was legit stakes. There was legit high intense moments. And then this is just a little side thing. This is a spinoff, so I wasn't expecting much in terms of like how far are we gonna go into the story here. But this is legit runtime. 2 hours, 10 minutes, right around there, give or take. I think I saw 2 hours and 10 minutes it was. Maybe 2 hours 12. I don't know. Give or take, somewhere around there, bottom line. That's a substantial runtime for a spinoff like this. And I really like that. Now, unfortunately, that's where we get into our negatives. Because for me personally, the runtime did not match up with the pacing of the story overall. I felt the pacing was very uneven, very choppy, not at just moments. It's unfortunate to be said, not just moments, but overall, in a general sense, throughout the entire movie. And it spanned from two extremes. Sometimes it would be very fast paced, breakneck speed, and it didn't, unfortunately, sadly, it didn't really give the dialogue and character interactions time to breathe. It didn't give time to breathe in terms of the story and dialogue and the character interactions. It's very fast paced. The whole rescue sequence in particular, I felt was very rushed. And then on the other end of the totem pole, on the other extreme, you have just dead airspace, like dead time. There would be long periods of time in this movie where it would just be Mando on the screen, who, mind you, is in a helmet the whole time. You never see his face until the very end. With the Hutt twins, as a whole, excuse me, it would be Mando, and then it would be a puppet in Baby Yoda or some other random ass CGI animated character. The pacing was very off, and it hit two extremes. People were kind of complaining, kind of nervous for this movie, basically feeling like season 4 of The Mandalorian. And without seeing that show, I can already understand those complaints wholeheartedly, because you can clearly tell where an episodic moment starts and an episodic moment ends, if that makes sense, if you would. So, yeah. I love Grogu. Fun, cute, adorable, whatever. As a character, But I feel like, and this is to be expected, it's Disney. At the end of the day, they're a kids' company, but whatever. But as an adult, 22-year-old seeing this, I wish Grogu actually contributed to the plot more rather than just being there to be funny and cute and oh my god, look at that. I want him to actually have an impact on the story. I'm not saying he has to be like Mando, fighting the Hutt twins over and over, saving Rada, the Hutt, Jabba's son, over and over. But like, can he do something more than just be a marketing ploy to be there to sell merchandise, to sell toys, to sell plushes on the outside looking in? So I was disappointed that you guys can tell me in the comments below on here if that's more to be expected from the show, which it probably is. But I haven't seen the show outside looking in here again, non-show viewer yet. I will be soon, hopefully, but not yet. I don't know. I just wish he was more than just a clear marketing ploy to sell merchandise and plushies and stuff like that. I wish he had an impact other than, just there, if that makes sense. Next, this is a small thing in the grand scheme of things. It's not really anything to do with the story beats at all. There were barely any callbacks to classic Star Wars. Let me start over. Barely any classic Star Wars callbacks and references. I didn't see. I know they mentioned the New Republic, but they didn't mention any previous characters that have now been deceased or killed or, died in combat between the two sides. They've mentioned the New Republic, but briefly. There were no lightsabers. I didn't see a single lightsaber. I didn't see a single OG character mentioned. Like, I'm talking about the classic original trilogy and prequel trilogy, not the stupid sequel trilogy, because 2 out of 3 of those movies are stupid and really bad. But no classic callbacks or references. I thought they could have thrown some more Easter eggs in there, whether it was spoken on screen through dialogue or not, or just in the background. Maybe people have stopped it, freezed it frame by frame on YouTube, and here are 100 facts, 100 Easter eggs you missed. But just like outward looking in, I would have loved to see that a lot more. All in all, I said on Twitter earlier today of this recording, yesterday of this video posted at the time you were seeing this. Bottom line, I said on Twitter before I officially went to the theater to sit down and see this movie, I said, I'm going into Mandalorian and Grogu in an hour or so. I'm not expecting much. The marketing hasn't really pushed me. I just got into Star Wars last year. I feel like it's just going to be a cute Grogu fun fest, and I fear that it won't deliver and offer an actual worthwhile story in the end. And I asked myself, did it deliver an actual worthwhile story in the end for me personally? I think the answer to that is no. It's unfortunate to say, it's sad to say, it's the first big Star Wars, I mean, not big in terms of like mainline, but you know what I mean, spin-off. It's the first big Star Wars theatrical run release in terms of the last 7 years since The Rise of Skywalker, which is the black sheep of the series. But mind you, it last 7 years. Unfortunately, I don't think it delivered a worthwhile story. The best way I can sum it up in these four words, whatever. Fun, but not impactful. Like, certain eras of Star Wars are remembered for such things such as the original trilogy is remembered for setting up the entire world. The prequel trilogy is remembered for being classic. People grew up in them. And the sequel trilogy, kind of a bad thing. The sequel trilogy is remembered for doing a lot of retconning and character assassination, and it's assassination. Sorry, and it's terrible. 2 of those 3 movies are terrible, but besides the point, yeah, this movie didn't reveal anything. Not a worthwhile story. It kind of was just a cute Grogu fun fest, which is my biggest fear. So looking back, 4 words to sum it up: fun, but not impactful. Again, just for me personally, fun, but not impactful. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to give it a final score of a 6.25 out of 10. There's no doubt in my mind that this is better than the sequel trilogy movies, at least like the later 2. Force Awakens is good. It's the only good sequel trilogy movie, so take that with what you will. Do that with what you may. But after that, we got some problems. The Rise of Skywalker is bad, and wrong order. The Last Jedi is really bad, and The Rise of Skywalker is bad. Not as bad, but you get the point. One's terrible and one's bad. Both terrible for the most part overall. So yeah, 6.25 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below. What were some story beats that you liked about the movie? What were some story beats that you didn't like about the movie? Yeah, let me know that down in the comments below on this video. You can follow me personally on Twitter at AWineGunner13 for any additional movie and or TV show thoughts, opinions, and discussions over there. Please share this video and channel with anyone and everyone you know. If you haven't seen Mando and Grogu yet, I hope you go out and see it. It's definitely worth watching. I'm just going to give it a 6.25 out of 10 personally. Thank you for the support as always. Goodbye.